My name's Bradley Guys,
And my name is Adam Pringer.
and welcome to the Hot Swap. Hello and welcome to episode 6. I'm back with Adam. What's going on, Adam?
I am having a great time today.
Is that sarcastic, or are you really having a great time?
It's not a bad time. It's nice weather.
It's freaking rainy here, man. It's been raining for like 6 days straight, so it's been hard to get anything done.
That's a disaster.
Yeah, but like today, it's like real bad. It's flooding outside my house, and I don't know. It's always like that out here where I live, though. Anytime it rains even for like an hour, we get flooding. But anyway, let's talk about some cool stuff like games, not stupid stuff like weather. Why don't you go ahead and start with what you've been playing, man? Because I think I've started the last couple episodes. So.
Yeah. So the thing I've gotten into the most, I guess, is I wanted to make an effort to play the demo for Pocket Card Jockey.
Oh yeah, I forgot there was going to be a demo for that game.
Yes, and I played through that. It is a very good game so far. You really can only play through a year of horse races. And depending on how well you do in that year, you can play like only 3 if you do really well. Or if you are in lower brackets, it seems to give you more opportunities to race.
Okay.
And it's really funny. It's written really well. It acknowledges how ridiculous the idea of playing solitaire to race horses is. Basically, your character wants to be this number one jockey and doesn't know how to do anything related to riding horses.
Oh wow, that's funny.
Is immediately trampled over by a bunch of horses and dies. And then an angel resurrects him. And the agreement they have is that he's pretty decent at playing solitaire, but he doesn't know how to ride horses. So he makes him somehow ride horses as well as he plays solitaire.
It's so
It
weird.
doesn't make any sense, but it doesn't have to.
No, it makes perfect sense. What are you talking about?
And so it then starts to throw, once you start getting into the game, it starts to throw a lot of menu at you, or a lot of text. That's the only, I think, downside to the game that I saw in the demo, is that there's so much going on that it really has to explain each of these details. And even after being explained everything, I still didn't get it until I had done a couple of
Races.
runs.
I got you.
And even after that, I still felt like either I was really terrible at the game or it's just kind of difficult.
Okay.
Because I figure it's the beginning of the game, I should be doing pretty well, but I was not.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe you're missing something. I don't know, I'll have to try it. We can.
There's a couple of things that I didn't get quite like at first. Like there's like this happiness meter that you have with the horse that, depending on where in the position of the track you're running, can like give you more happiness points, basically. And how to use those properly is kind of confusing, I think, at first. So once I kind of got the hang of that, that helped me out.
Okay.
But it's still a pretty challenging game, and there's some times where I feel like it's just not giving me the cards that I need. But maybe it's just because I'm also terrible at solitaire.
Yeah.
I've never been that great at the game.
I got you.
But I was having fun.
Yeah, it sounds pretty. I think it's worth. I definitely want to check it out just to see all the art and stuff. Just from the little videos I've seen, it looks really cool. So I'm not a big solitaire guy. I mean,
It's more like just trying to match stuff to give yourself more points for the racing part of it.
Okay, I got you.
I'm trying to think of a way to describe it. It's kind of like, did you ever play, what was the name of that game? Monster Tale?
Oh yeah, of course.
for the DS.
Yeah, and Henry's Hatsworth or whatever. But
Yes. Well, and I guess even more in Henry Hatsworth. It's kind of like Henry Hatsworth in that you're playing a puzzle game on the bottom screen to help you compete in the racing portion on the top screen.
okay, cool. Yeah, I like games like that.
There you go. That's pretty much what it is. Now, the other thing that I was getting into was last night. I decided rather than working on editing the video for last week's episode and finishing that, I thought I'd play some more Super Mario Maker.
Oh, cool.
And I finished 3 levels. One of them was just kind of tweaking it. The other two just kind of came to me. And so I finished all 16 levels that I wanted to have done before I loaded up another section. And so all of those are online for you to play now.
Yep. So be looking for the video shortly. I'll be probably this week. I don't know. We got Mom's Day, so I might have to wait till next week. But I'm gonna try and shoehorn it in there somewhere.
There's still, I think, 5 levels that haven't even been beaten. So
awesome! I can't wait to jump all over those levels.
You'll be the first.
Yeah, we'll see.
So what have you been doing?
Okay, so before we move on to me, how about Zelda? Have you gotten back to that at all?
I have not touched that yet.
Okay, cool. I was just curious. I'm going to ask you every couple weeks.
Fair enough. You should.
All right, so this week, I guess I'll start off by saying I finally got to play Star Fox Co-op. I did that with one of my friends last night.
And you're playing Zero?
Yeah, Star Fox Zero Co-op.
Okay, cool. How was that?
It was pretty fun. It's definitely easier having 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
Because what's cool is you can both shoot. So...
Oh.
Yeah, now when you're flying the plane, I was using Wiimote and Nunchuck. Your shots are orange, and you can't really... You aim by moving your plane, so, you have your reticle.
Classic Star Fox.
Yeah, exactly, and it's kind of hard, but it's nice to be able to throw some extra shots out there, because the whole time you've got your gunner aiming and, firing a particular, and his shots are still green, like if you're playing single player. So it gets pretty frantic. I mean, you got lasers going everywhere. He's doing charge shots for you. They're, setting off bombs and stuff. And, you're a lot more maneuverable because you can, like, for instance, the first level when you fight the spiders with the red things in their back that I think we discussed in our Star Fox episode, that part was a lot easier with 2 people because I could really focus on slowing down, putting myself in the perfect position for him to just easily kill those guys in 2 seconds. Yeah. He could easily just focus on his screen the whole time. Didn't have to worry about what was around him, or not, or not flying into that tower, which I probably did like 5 times the first time I tried to play it. So I think it's really cool. I wish there was an option to just play through the game in co-op. I wish I didn't have to choose co-op every time I jump into a level, and I don't even think you have the option to choose co-op unless you beat that level first. So, that's what I'm not 100% on that, but that's what it seemed like to me.
Okay. Yeah, I'm surprised it's just not a separate campaign with separate high scores and everything.
I agree. Maybe once I beat the game, that'll be an option. But because there is something that's blank right now on the main screen, so I don't know what that's going to be. I assume it's going to be something I'll unlock when I beat the game. But
yeah,
I would give Star Fox Co-op 10 out of 10. It's really fun. It does make the game a lot easier. So if people are having trouble with the controls, that's something to consider if you have somebody who can sit down with you and play.
Now did you find that you needed to communicate well with your partner?
Not really.
Hey, get this guy off me, or...
No, not really. I mean, I would just, I'd have to say something like, okay, these guys are coming out. I'm gonna fly over. But for the most part, you're just flying around, and when you're the gunner, you're just taking out everything you see.
Okay.
So you don't really need to even talk to the guy. Maybe once we get into some later levels and they're more complex, we'll have to really coordinate. But for now, it's kind of like, just fly through, don't die, and, the gunner just shoot, don't stop shooting.
Okay.
So, what else? Okay, so we also played some local Pokken tournament multiplayer. I just want to, I don't really have anything else to talk about with that game. I just want to say that the local works good. It's kind of interesting because one person plays on the TV screen and the other person plays on the gamepad, and it does separate the screens completely. It even separates, you don't even know who they're choosing when you guys choose your characters. That's how much it separates the screens.
Cool.
So I thought that was pretty cool, and it seems like all fighting games, as long as we have a 2-screen system like this, all fighting games should really be like that. But there's not a ton of fighting games on Wii U, so.
Have you um have you unlocked anybody?
No, I've barely played it. I think I'm only like 3 hours in. I played
Okay.
maybe 3 times for an hour at a time. I kind of, when I jump on, I'm having fun, but I get bored with it kind of quick. So it's kind of a game I only play in little spurts.
Okay.
Let's see here. And the only other thing I played was we talked about the Humble Bundle last week. I played Affordable Space Adventures. And did you pick up that bundle?
I did not.
Okay. I think you still got a week, right?
I still have some time, and I know that they added some new games to it.
Yeah, I knew they were going to. I don't know what they are yet, though. So let's see here. I don't want to go on all day about this game. I'll say that it's a really good Wii U game because it uses a lot of touchscreen controls. Your control, there's many different mechanical parts to your ship.
Okay.
Let's see here. This is also another game, kind of like Star Fox, that has a multiplayer option to it. So you can actually have a crew, and you can have up to 3 players, and everybody controls something different. Like one person flies the ship. I'm assuming one person controls one person will control. They're the navigators, so they get like the map and stuff. And then the other person can be the pilot. So you got like an engineer, a pilot, and a navigator. And everybody controls different parts that you actually control all of on your touchscreen when you're playing single player.
Yeah.
But when you break it up into multiplayer, everybody takes little pieces of that. I don't know because I haven't gotten to try it. But let's see. It's a puzzle game. You can't really... So far, I haven't been able to attack anything. You do unlock a flare that you could shoot at some point. But for what I could tell, it doesn't actually hurt enemies. It just... You could use it to set off switches and stuff.
Okay.
Because there'll be puzzles where I should probably start off by saying this is basically a 2D spaceship game. It's all in 2D. So like you'll have puzzles where you fly up to a really thin space that you can't fly through, but it's wide enough to where you could shoot a flare through, and there'll be a switch in there. You know what I'm saying? So you shoot the flare through the little gap and hit the switch. There's all kinds of stuff like that. And eventually you actually start bouncing the flares off of stuff or moving platforms into positions so you can bounce a flare off of something to get a switch.
Huh. Okay.
Let's see here. I said it. The beginning looks really cool, and it does. The beginning video is really awesome. You start off, you're about to start a space adventure, so it's very corporate looking, like if you were watching a corporate training video.
Okay.
About the space adventures. And what happens is they load all these little ships into this huge pod, and they just drop them on random planets, and you go space adventuring. But your ship crashes. So everybody else, from what I can tell, is dead. All the other ships are all completely obliterated. There's fire everywhere. Your ship's pretty banged up, but it's good enough to get rolling. And you start off with a combustion engine. And then eventually you'll actually start getting upgrades. Like you'll get, like I said earlier, the flare. You'll get an electrical engine, which is quieter but uses more electricity, whereas the combustion engine creates more heat and is way louder. See, enemies track you in this game based on your heat, electricity, and sound, which you manipulate with the Wii U touchpad. So what happens is you'll come up and you'll be like, oh no, there's like 3 enemies in front of me. What do I do? You scan them, because there's lots of scanning in this game. Scan them, and it'll give you a readout of what sets them off, so that you tweak your engines. You decide, okay, let's say it reads electricity. Okay, I got to switch to my combustion engine, which you could do on the fly with the touchpad. And you go, okay, but it doesn't like half heat, so you'll get to certain points where you're lowering your engines down to nothing, and the more you lower the settings down, the worse your plane flies. So then you'll encounter things where you're trying to squeeze between a laser, but you have to have all your engines like really low, and your plane's all wonky. It's moving all slow, and it's wiggling around. And it makes it tough. There's even puzzles that I've encountered later on where you need to like rush up to a certain point and turn your engines completely off not to be tracked. So you'll actually be like flinging your ship down caverns and stuff. And you can't blow up from hidden walls. I should probably say that. So you'll fly right up to the enemy, turn your engines off at the last second, and that way they can't track you. And you'll go through like a ton of enemies. And you'll just smash to the floor, and then you can turn your engines back on and keep going. There's lots of puzzles like that where you have to. There was even a puzzle where I had to full power my engines, fling myself upwards, turn them off immediately, and then as I flung myself up to my peak. I turned it on, and an enemy found me, and then they shot me up to the next part. So it gets pretty intricate. That was the last.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the last puzzle I played, and that's only like an hour into the game. So I think it's going to get pretty crazy as I continue forward. Trying to see if there's anything else I wanted to mention. Now, all I wrote down here is that I really want to try co-op. I think it would be interesting to play a 3-player with all you controlling.
That would be really interesting.
Different aspects of the ship. So all I'm going to say is, if at a minimum, go ahead and get that $1 Humble Bundle. I mean, it's worth it just for affordable space adventures, in my opinion. That game's really cool, and I kind of feel bad that I didn't buy it before, but it's expensive, man. $20 for a download-only game is a lot. Like, 15 would have been a better price point, in my opinion. But who knows? I mean, this game.
Perhaps I would have gotten it.
Yeah, I hear you. This game seems pretty bulky, so maybe it is worth 20. I'll have to come back to it later on when I finish it and make a decision.
It's tough for those new guys.
Yeah, I hear you. I agree with that too. Like, I mean, I want them to make their money. I don't know. When I see $20 for a download game, I guess it just turns me off a little bit because I almost never pick them up.
Yeah.
So, I think that's all I got into this week.
Okay.
So,
Seems like it would make a good model for a Metroid game where you're stuck inside your ship the whole time.
yeah, it would be kind of cool. They've never really done anything where the most you got with Metroid is being able to manipulate the stuff in Prime, where you could see your hand.
Call it in.
Yeah, but you couldn't really fly it around or nothing. So
That would be really cool.
That would be cool. All right, so yeah, that's all I played, and I asked you about Zelda, so we're good. Let's go ahead and take a break.
Awesome.
And I guess we'll start off with my song this week. I chose a song from Splatoon called Ink or Swim, and we will be right back. Alright, welcome back, and we are ready to start our next segment here, which I'm trying to think about what I want to call it. I guess I'll call it games we think should be on the Wii U and aren't.
That works.
Yeah, and I kind of break it up into two categories. Just games that I feel like should be on the Wii U, and it's stupid that they're not. Like, it makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then games that I feel would be improved due to the gamepad being, and what the Wii U offers. because there are no other systems like this. The closest thing is probably using a mouse on a computer, but I feel like there's some games where you use mouse on the computer that would work way better with a stylus and being able to actively be on, the gamepad screen all the time.
But it offers something different. It's got the same kind of like point and click of a PC,
Right.
but PC doesn't have a dual screen option for you.
And it doesn't have the option of holding buttons in your hand while you see. That's the thing that I think is, because at a minimum, if you're using it if you're right-handed, like I guess like 70% of the world or whatever, you're holding. You have the analog, you've got the directional, and you've got two triggers right there comfortably in your hand while you're using your stylus. So I think that offers a lot as well. But anyway, I guess we could just take turns.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
So the first game I want to mention is called Faster Than Light, or FTL as it's usually known by. It's made by Subset Games, and I picked this one up on a Steam sale right when I first made my computer about a year and a half ago. It was one of the first games I got, and it is straight up point and click for the most part. It's active, so you're flying through space and you see an overhead view of your ship, and it's broken down in like grids and stuff, and you control everything with the mouse. There is the option to use hotkeys, which eventually, if you want to make any kind of progress in the game, you do start using them. I feel like some hotkey. So basically, what will happen is, it's basically broken down into you either fight something or find something or see something, and then you move on, and then you use your light drive and you jump to the next point, and you're trying to make it through. I think it's 5 levels, and you're jumping through space in each level. And when an enemy attacks you, you see it happening actively. And you do things like you'll click your weapons and set them to either automatically fire or fire when you want to fire. You can move your crew around. You can pick up new crew. And then you can set them in certain areas where they're good at working. And then you can actually, the more crew you got, you can fix things faster. So what'll happen is you'll set your crew like all around your ship, but at certain points you'll be calling them all to certain areas. These are things that I feel like with the Wii U pad that'll be a lot easier. Just instead of having to look around and move your mouse around, use your stylus and you'll go click 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 and put the guy right where you want him. And then there's like hotkeys, like I was saying earlier. You could register the hotkeys to the gamepad. Things for like, if you get shot in certain points and they break your hull, your certain rooms will catch on fire. So you'll be closing doors to block the fire from other compartments where your crew is and like where your weapons and stuff are. And you'll open outside doors to pull all the oxygen out of that room to quench the fire. Now, in the computer game, there are buttons where you can open all the doors and close all the doors. I feel like you could lock that into the triggers, and that would improve the gameplay for me right there. Just being able to open and close without having to move my hand, I feel like would help me, because there's certain points where, there's aliens overrunning your ship, there's fire everywhere, and you need to be able to do that stuff quick. And it's hard to play on the computer when you're using your mouse, looking at your screen, clicking around, and trying to find all these different buttons on your keyboard. You only got so many fingers. So
yeah, it can definitely get overwhelming.
So that's why I feel like FTL, I actually feel like it would be a better game on Wii U. And it'd be great if they made like a director's cut Wii U version and put it out. I feel like they could make some money on this last hurrah of Wii U. But I don't think it's going to happen, but it would be cool.
But I definitely agree with you. It would be a game that would probably, if done right, be even better on the Wii U.
Cool, and it's a little hard of a game to explain. I'm guessing a lot of people listening to this have probably heard of it, but if you haven't, definitely check out a video of it, because it's pretty cool, and it's usually pretty cheap on PC if you want to play it in the meantime while we hope and wait for it to come on to Nintendo.
Yeah, I think I got it just on a regular sale by itself and got the soundtrack with it for not too much.
Cool.
So I guess I will go into a game here. The first one I'm going to mention is Rocket League by Psionic, or Psionics. And it is a sport driving game where you have vehicles that can jump around and they play soccer against each other.
Yeah, my friend and I call it car soccer. We go, yeah, you want to play more car soccer.
And the main reason I picked this game is because It is insanely popular. It's on most everything right now.
Yeah, pretty much. I think it's on both main systems now, just not on Wii, pretty much.
Yeah, and I feel like it would fit well with the Nintendo family. And Nintendo has been a place for kind of what I consider other racing games
Hmm.
or other driving games that you don't normally see on other systems, or that Nintendo popularized themselves.
Okay.
And I think with a community that likes Mario Kart, this would be a perfect place for that game to go.
Yeah, I agree. I play a lot of this game personally. There's a bunch of videos of Rocket League on my channel if anybody's interested.
Hmm.
They just came out with car basketball now is what we're calling it, and
Yes,
it's really fun. We actually, me and my friend like it more than soccer at this point. The basketball is crazy. So
I have not played the basketball. How does that change the gameplay up?
so it's all about aerials now. The baskets are just like 2 or 3 feet off the ground, and they have a little ramp. But what'll happen is if you just ramp the ball towards the goal, it'll more than more than not, it'll hit the little ramp and it'll just bounce back out. So you got to pop it up, and then you try to like smash it down through the net. It's even got like a backboard and stuff. So if you shoot it, basically, it teaches you to play the game differently. So when you're playing the soccer version, it's more about smashing the ball hard, especially from far back, and you're trying to get the ball up a little in the air, but you need to keep it on goal. Whereas in basketball, it's more about laying off the accelerator to get more of a pop. It's more about getting under the basketball and popping it up to get it
Okay.
up into that net. So it's a lot trickier. It kind of, you have to like reverse your brain. You've been playing the soccer for so long, and you're trained to play a certain way, and then all of a sudden it's definitely way more different than how the hockey game was. When you played hockey, it still felt like you were playing soccer, just a faster version with like a heavier, it's a puck, but it still kind of moved the same, and
Yeah.
it felt the same. This feels like a totally different game, and you got to train yourself to play differently if you want to be
Yeah.
any good at it.
And then the other thing I wanted to mention about Rocket League is that when Nintendo first showed off Metroid Blast Ball, my immediate thought was, oh, this looks like a smaller, slower paced Rocket League.
Yeah, I could see that. I hadn't played Rocket League yet at the time, so I wasn't able to put the two and two together. But I can see that now that you bring it up.
So I'll be interested to see how well that plays once they finally start showing that game again. I wonder if they would be influenced by Rocket League and maybe make the game faster paced or something like that.
Yeah, Rocket League's really fast paced, so yeah, maybe
Hmm.
they'll
For
speed it up
sure.
a little. I mean, that was an early video, so who knows what it's
Yeah,
gonna look like.
for most definitely.
Cool. Yeah, I agree. It would be nice if Rocket League was on there. I would say that's definitely a game though that just should be on it because it's on all systems. Not that the Wii U would really improve it in any way.
Not really. I mean, motion controls might be interesting on it, but that's about it.
All right, so what should I bring up next? I'm going to stick with my games that I think would be improved and go with a game called Besiege, which is actually still in alpha right now. And it's by Spiderling Games. And I bought this on a sale as well. And this is really, at the moment, it's currently just a 15-level sandboxy type game. And what you do is it's a physics-based puzzle game where you build basically almost anything you want within the confines of the pieces they give you, but it's a medieval puzzle physics game is what I would say. And you're building things like catapults, or you could even build like little, I'm not going to say it's actually a tank, but you can make things kind of look like a tank. You can put spikes on them. You can build you can have cannons on them, things that shoot fire. They even give you like propellers and stuff. It's kind of like building the cars in that Banjo-Kazooie game, but
Okay.
but medieval style. And the purpose, and there's no limitation to how many parts and stuff you could use. The only thing you're supposed to do is make it through each level. So you could build whatever you want to try and make. One time I built this thing. It was just two cannons with like 4 propeller blades on it, and I made it so I would shoot one cannon, it would move the thing a certain degree, throw it in all the enemies, and I would shoot it again, and I was able to clear out all the enemies by just doing that. I mean, it's completely random. It was just a cannon with propellers. There's no wheels or nothing. I mean, the physics on this game is crazy. You can make real catapults in this game by stretching, by building all the beams and making the correct counterweights and stretching the wires yourself. And I mean, it gets pretty intricate. There's a lot of really cool videos online of people building some pretty intricate stuff. I didn't get deep enough into it where I was building real catapults and stuff. I was mostly just building. I'd put like a block down with some wheels and just put weapons all over it. And that's how I would finish things off. So I don't know what this game is eventually going to become. It's been in alpha for at least a year because it was one of the first games I bought. So, and I just checked before we got on. It's still in alpha. So who knows? Maybe it'll just stay what it is. But I think it's a game again that would be really cool with a gamepad instead of a mouse. I feel like you could build things way faster if you were using a stylus. I don't think it would improve how you play. It would just speed up the process of actually building stuff. So
yeah, Mario Maker I think kind of proves that.
Exactly. That's
if you've ever built something on PC versus that game.
Yeah, I agree. That's totally what made me think of it. I mean, Mario Maker just feels so good while you're building stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much all I want to say about that. If you guys haven't seen that, check out some videos. I don't have any videos of that on my channel, so
yeah, I watched some videos just so that I knew what you were talking about, and I saw planes and a giant satellite.
Wow!
Someone had made this couch. It's just a couch that you sit on, and you could like pilot it around and stuff.
Oh, cool!
So even though it's medieval themed, you can really do pretty much anything you want to out of it.
Yeah, pretty much. So.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm going to bring up Papers, Please, made by a guy named Lucas Pope. And this is a game that I really feel like could be much better on the Wii U.
Yeah, I agree.
You're basically tending a border of a fictional country during, I wouldn't say war times, but very tense political times between different countries, and you are handed all this paperwork for different people that want to come into your country.
Yep.
And you have to rifle through it, determine if all their information is correct and legitimate, and then either allow them in the country or not. And I think just being able to like maneuver through the paperwork on the gamepad would be really interesting. They could simply just port it over to the Wii U, and it would play well and it would work. But they could do interesting things where your screen on the gamepad is your desk that you're moving the paperwork on, and have the TV be the person's face, and maybe you can see the line and stuff from there, and your surroundings on the TV. So you actually are getting a completely different way to look at the game because you have those multiple screens. Yeah,
and you'd be able to manipulate the paperwork more, and I think you'd be able to show a lot more too. It's kind of everything's kind of compact on the screen in the actual game, so it would be cool.
There's a lot going on the screen, really.
Yeah, it's cool because the game's pretty crazy. You get passports, and like some people mention that they're a painter or something, so you're throwing them a business card of a company that I guess you're kind of lobbying for them almost, because you're trying to get people to go there, and I guess you're getting like kickbacks and stuff from that. So it gets pretty interesting. And it gets the video that you showed me, I actually don't think you showed it to me. I think I was looking at your history, and I watched the video that you watched, but it got pretty crazy. I mean, the guy's handing out his business card. You got 3 guys in a row that almost look like the same guy. There's like just small little differences in their passports and stuff. And I actually noticed, I think he actually let a criminal go through at one point, I thought. So, I mean, it looks like it's pretty easy.
Very possible.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to just let a criminal go through and not even notice. And I think it could be even more immersive, like you said, if you were doing everything on the gamepad and everything else was up on the screen. It would feel like you were really sitting behind a desk, doing it. It'd be pretty cool.
And Papers, Please has something that I really like that a lot of video games don't do, which is kind of telling a story through the gameplay rather than having it be something that's set aside from the story.
Right.
And so not a lot of games do that, and so when I find games like that, it really stands out to me, and I really like the game. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, I've been wanting to play this one. It's been on my wish list for a while, so I would definitely prefer to play it on Wii U. That's a good one to bring up.
Awesome.
Okay, so I've got two more games that fall under the other category of games that I just wish that I feel like should be on the Wii U, and I'm going to bang these out quick.
Okay.
Because I don't really have a ton to talk about with them. The first one I'm going to mention is Pokemon TCG by Nintendo, which is a PC-only game. I think it's on iPad and Android, too.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know because my iPad's from the 1850s, so I can't even play it. But, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. It's a computer game. It would work great with the gamepad. Pokemon TCG should be on the Wii U. That's all I want to say about that.
Okay.
And the other game I was going to mention is Transformers Devastation by Platinum. Again, we got Bayonetta. The engine works. It's the same engine. The game should be on Wii U. It doesn't make if you're curious on how that game plays, it's basically Bayonetta with a Transformers skin. It's really fun, and I've got a ton of videos on my channel if anyone wants to see what it looks like.
And I always thought, working on the retail side of games, that Transformers games did pretty well with Nintendo products.
Yeah, I thought so too. Even the bad ones from the movies and stuff, I thought sold pretty well.
Yeah, they did.
So I don't understand why we're getting shunned. And Platinum's all up in Nintendo's stuff. So why
you think
this game
they're familiar with the architecture? They could have easily popped out a version for the Wii U.
I mean, it's on PS3 and Xbox 360. Why is it on? It's just more companies not wanting to put games out on Wii U. I mean, that's all it comes down to.
Yeah, it's Activision stuck it out for them for quite a while.
Yeah, but I think they've given up just like everybody else at this point, unfortunately.
It's unfortunate. I would even throw into your list, just because you brought up Transformers, the new Ninja Turtle game.
Yeah, it's looking like that's not going to be on there either.
Yeah, and again, another thing that I think would do really well with a Nintendo audience.
I agree.
Well, if you're done with all your lists, I can go through the rest of mine here.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I wanted to bring up Super Time Force by Capybara Games. I'm a big fan of that company, and I have Super Time Force, and it's a lot of fun.
I have it as well.
It reminds me a lot of side-scrolling shooter games of like the NES and Super NES period.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like, again, it fits really well with the audience of Nintendo owners. And I don't know that it would necessarily be benefited by being on the Wii U. Because it's mostly just the time mechanic of you go through a level with one character until they die, and then you can reverse time to a point where you can start another character and start playing through the level and get further than the previous character. You can also save their life and then incorporate them into your...
combine with them is when it gets... That's when you have two powers instead of one. It starts getting crazy.
Yes, and it's a completely nuts game. It's got a lot of working with nostalgia to make it fun.
Mm-hmm.
But on top of just looking cool and being retro and playing on that, it is a really good game, gameplay-wise. So
yeah, it does. It controls well and it looks cool. It's very, very old school looking.
Yeah, and I think that would be a fun game, and it's a shame it's not on a Nintendo system. And let's see here. And then I also wanted to mention Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time.
Which I have no idea what this game is.
Okay, so the first time I ever saw this, I was immediately in love with it. It's kind of like Affordable Space Adventures. You have a spaceship, and on that spaceship, you have two people that are flying it. And there's several different stations within the spaceship. So there's a spot on the spaceship where you can pilot the spaceship around, and it works on a 2D side-scrolling system. And there's 4 other stations that have guns on either side of the ship, a top, bottom, and left and right. There's a station that has a map where you can check where you are in coordination with the rest of the map. And there's a station for using a special weapon on the ship that charges over time, so you can't use it constantly. And so the two people, it's a co-op. You can play it single player, where you have a computer controlled cat that can run around on the guns and shoot stuff for you. It cannot pilot the ship for you, so you have to kind of stick to that when you're
Okay.
moving around. But it's kind of built for co-op, and so you'll have two human people running around, trying to shoot enemies that are attacking your ship, move it around through levels to rescue these rabbits. You rescue all of those rabbits, and then you can exit the stage.
Okay.
And there's hidden stuff in it, and it's just a lot of fun. And I like how you kind of have to choose these different roles on the ship in order to get through the levels and work together doing one specific thing. Like you're just sitting on a gun or hopping between all the different guns to defend the ship while you have a friend piloting through asteroids and stuff.
Yeah, it sounds really cool.
It's a lot of fun. And it's really cool looking. I highly recommend checking out a video, Brad, because it's really nice looking. It has like a neon light art style almost,
Oh, cool.
which I really like. And another thing that is kind of fun is that there are unlockable characters that are homages to the Star Fox characters.
Oh, cool. That's
So you
awesome.
can get a rabbit and a bird and a fox and a frog, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it sounds pretty fun.
And one thing about the game, if you have it already, is that I saw today that they're working on testing a 3 and 4 player mode to the game. So that would be even better to have more crew members on the ship to kind of flush out the abilities of the ship. And you could probably bring more enemies and more challenge to the game by having the more people to attend to the ship, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah, it does sound like that affordable space venture game, but with combat. So that sounds
Yeah,
pretty fun.
it's definitely combat intensive. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention is Destiny, which is a pretty big game out there.
Yep.
I played a lot of it, even though I kind of find it to be a pretty mediocre game.
It's okay. I played the demo, which lets you play to level 10 or 11. So I played a good amount too.
It is pretty fun to play with friends, but this game was coming out. The Wii was around the time that the Wii U was coming out, and this is a game where I just thought it makes no sense for this not to come out on the Wii U. It's on systems of this generation and last generation.
Yep.
So there's not really an excuse of the Wii can't handle it, or the Wii U can't handle it, or anything like that. And it's also another one of those games where the Wii U has a pretty broad selection of different game styles, but first-person shooters is really not one of them.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I feel like any halfway decent game that gets into that market would probably do pretty well for itself, considering it doesn't have a lot of competition. And this was kind of around the time where, as I mentioned, Activision, even though it's made by Bungie, it's produced by or published by Activision.
Yep.
And this is kind of around the time when they kind of gave up on Nintendo. And I don't know. I was expecting it to come out on the system, and it never did. And I thought that was kind of an unfortunate miss for them. Even though I don't think it's the greatest game, it's still something that I feel like should be on there.
Yeah, I agree. It should have been on all the systems. I don't understand why. Well, again, it's like you said.
There were some development issues, and maybe that had something to do with it, but no excuse.
Yeah, and it is pretty fun. It's it's fun for a multiplayer FPS. Run around, kill things, get the loot, move on. That's basically what you do in that game.
And I do like me some loot games.
Yeah, me too. I just don't really like FPS that much, but the loot kept me interested for a while. So, and I like that there's vehicles and stuff in it too. So that's fun.
Yeah. That'll do it for my list. I have a bunch of other stuff we could talk about, but we should save that for another time.
Yeah, I held back a few as well, so we'll probably revisit this again. Maybe once a year we can go back, and there's always new games coming out that we feel should be on the system, so it's just something we can revisit. All right, let's go ahead and take our next break. It is Adam's song, and he also chose a Splatoon song. It's the final boss song, but the twist on it is actually a Game Boy cover, and it's pretty cool. We'll be right back.
Now it's time for the news section. And the first thing I wanted to mention, we talked about it earlier, the Humble Bundle had some new games added to it that are included in the pay over the average price point. And those games are Sword and Soldiers 2 for the Wii U, Nano Assault EX for the 3DS, and Runbow for the Wii U. So
Cool.
three more games that for less than $10 right now, you can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games. That's an amazing deal.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Hop on that. And it's for charity, so you could feel good and enjoy yourself playing games. The next thing that I want to mention is it looks like Mighty Number 9 might come out on June 24th, if it doesn't get delayed again.
Oh, man, I hope not. I
Yeah,
feel like we're
so-
getting close.
It seems like this is going to be it as far as when it comes out. So this summer, June 24th, that'll be fun when it comes out, and it better be amazing.
Yeah, I can't
Looks like
wait.
it will be. Splatoon, they're doing a re-release of the Amiibo 3-pack with a modified color palette, and they're doing that at the same time as releasing a double pack of Callie and Marie as Amiibo. So those new Amiibo for the sisters are going to unlock music videos in the game.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so Splatoon obviously has great music. We both picked Splatoon music because of the concert that they had with Callie and Marie.
Yeah, it was. It was on my feed a couple days
Yeah.
ago.
So weird, but it like made me happy to watch that.
Yeah, it was
to
really cool. It
the
seemed like
game
the
system.
crowd was really into it too.
Yeah,
It was fun.
they had those girls projected onto a screen, so it looked like they were actually on stage.
Yeah, it was a glass screen. It was kind of cool. So it really did. I guess that's kind of the hologram technology that everybody uses
Hmm.
now. So yeah, the screen. I guess it was like plexiglass or something. So it did really look like they were up there. At times, it depended on what angle you were looking at,
Hmm.
but for the most part, it looked pretty good.
Yeah, I liked it. So the re-release of those amiibos and the new Calamari amiibo are going to be on July 8th is when those come out.
Cool.
Um, Kirby Planet Robobot came out in Japan. It was number one in sales last week. Didn't sell a super high amount, but it did pretty well. It seems like in Japan everything's not really selling that well right now,
Hmm.
so it's not that bad considering, I think, but hopefully it does pretty well over the long run. It's got some cool multiplayer modes, and we're both definitely excited to play it.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I think some reviewers are starting to get their hands on it, or maybe they imported because
Hmm.
I've noticed the videos up. So the more I see of it, the more excited I get. I'm pretty excited to play it.
Yeah, I am too. Um, a game called Kick and Finnick, which is a platformer where you play this little boy who has like this animal friend and a big giant rifle that you can use to shoot enemies and also to propel yourself in the opposite direction of what you're shooting.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, if you hop in the air and then shoot behind you, it'll like push you forward. It seems like a pretty interesting concept, and it looks like a really solid game. It's already been out for some other platforms, but it's coming. It's going to be coming to the Wii U. I mean, not that the Wii U is short of platformers, but it does look like a solid game for an indie developed game.
It sounds
So,
really interesting.
so that might be something to look forward
Are there any
to.
videos up of it now?
There are videos up on it.
All right,
Yeah,
cool.
it's already been available on other platforms, so you can watch gameplay and stuff for it,
Oh,
and it
great.
does look good. And then the last bit of newsy news is Nintendo on their E3 site has some information about some of their plans for E3 week. It looks like they're going to kick off events on, I think it's the 14th on a Tuesday. The first thing they're going to be doing is showing off Zelda.
Oh, cool.
Seems like they're going to be doing quite a bit for Zelda that day. Now, the website's pretty vague on their plans. Right now, the whole site is all Zelda themed, and I've seen a lot of people online freaking out like this is the only thing they're going to show at all the entire time for E3.
Hmm.
What if you actually read what it says, they're only specifically mentioning Zelda right now, but I don't think that's the only thing they're going to be mentioning that day, let alone for the rest of the week.
Yeah, I highly doubt it. I'm sure they're going to mention a bunch of stuff.
So I know that I think that they're just aware that Zelda is probably going to be what everybody's talking about when it comes to their stuff.
Yeah.
So they're getting a lot of that out early now to create some hype for it. But there'll be plenty of other stuff that they talk about as well. I'm pretty sure they plan on doing the same thing they did last year, where they have the Treehouse doing stuff all day long, and there's no way they could fill 3 days. I think it's like 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way they could fill that amount of time only doing Zelda. So
Yep, I agree. And they've never done that before, and I don't think they ever will. They always mention a bunch of stuff.
yeah. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there that I looked through the site and it does not look like that's the only thing that they're going to do. It's just that's the only thing they're mentioning right now.
Okay.
And then for releases, pretty light. The Wii U has a game called The Beggar's Ride, which is a puzzle platformer. It's coming out. It came out this past week. Escape from Flare Industries, also a puzzle platformer, came out this week on the eShop. Midnight 2, which is a physics-based puzzle platformer. That also came out. A game called Pixel Maker, which is from the makers of a game called Voxel Maker. And neither one of them are really games. You just make stuff in them. So Pixel Maker is pretty much MS Paint. I don't know what
Okay.
you do. So you can like make pixel drawings and then share them.
That's interesting.
Yeah, if it's not expensive and people like to draw, then why not?
Yeah, and you want something that you can take with you on your 3DS.
This is Wii U only, so.
Oh, well, I don't know. I guess I wouldn't really want that then. I would just use MS Paint.
And then a endless runner called Space Roads, and a Sudoku game called Sudoku and Permudoku. Yeah. And then for Virtual Console, the original DS style Savvy game.
Oh, okay.
Which I believe is a sideways DS game, which is
book
one of our favorite things.
Yeah, book form or whatever.
Yeah. And then 3DS, Pocket Card Jockey came out this week. Awesome game. You should probably get it. For Virtual Console, Super Punch-Out for the Super Nintendo came out.
Awesome. My
favorite. I've never played the Super Nintendo game.
It's my favorite. That's what actually got me in. I didn't own I didn't own Mike Tyson's or Mr. Dream version when I was a kid. I bought Super Punch-Out on Super Nintendo, and that's what got me. I don't know. I'm not gonna say I'm obsessed with Punch-Out games, but I like them a lot. That's for sure.
Yeah. And then there's 2 more Fire Emblem DLCs that came out this week.
Every week, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, every week. It's nice. It's a lot of content.
Yeah, it's cool.
And that covers all the news for me.
All right, cool. So I guess we'll go ahead and close out the show. I've still got that Shantae code to hand out, the Wii U version. If anybody wants it, hit me up on Twitter or hit me up on YouTube at Bradley Guys for both. And that's all I got.
Yeah, and for me, I plan on getting the Humble Bundle in the next couple of days. I only have 3 days and 15 hours left to get it, so I better get on that. But I'll be able to give away Retro City Rampage for the 3DS codes and Nano Assault EX for the 3DS as well. So I'll be able to give away those codes if you contact me on Twitter at iDrawRobots. Just let me know you want one of those, and I will give you the code. I should have that in a couple of days by the time you can see this.
Great. I mean, we're just handing out games like crazy here. So
yes.
hit us up if you want to. Leave comments. Hit us on email. Hit us on our Twitter accounts. Any way you want to contact us.
Hit that thumbs up.
Yeah, definitely hit that like button. And thank you very much for watching or listening or however you're consuming the show. And until next week, we will catch you later.
Titania is a red planet wasteland.
You can't trust a place filled with sandworms and robot spiders.
Don't sweat it. Peppy will take him out with the Landmaster.
Whoa!
Wow, Peppy is on fire.
Man, what's gotten into him?
No! There's a spider in the tank!
I put it in there.